Thank you, Director of Ceremonies. It is gratifying for me to talk of an important topic on accelerating action. And I've been saying this ever since I started having interventions here, that let's go beyond rhetoric, let's go towards action. It is therefore with great honor that I welcome you to this important side event, which is convened by the African Union Commission, the NEPET, and our partners under the theme Accelerating Action to Meet Africa's Sustainable Economic Aspirations. As the world converges in Nice for this third United Nations Ocean Conference, Africa is attuned to the global ocean agenda and to Sustainable Development Goal number 14, which talks to life below the water. Ladies and gentlemen, our seas and oceans are not only our heritage, they are our culture and sources of life. These endowments are a cornerstone of our food and nutrition and security, as well as trade, climate regulation, tourism, and cultural identity. As Africa, we consider blue economy as a new frontier for sustainable development and a transformative pathway towards inclusive as well as resilient economies. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa is a maritime continent where over 90% of Africa's trade is seaborne. More than 47,000 kilometers of coastline and vast exclusive economic zones support over 200 million coastal residents. Yet despite this ocean world, our continent still faces multiple structural and capacity constraints in realizing its full blue economic potential. To address this, the African Union, through the Department of Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy and Sustainable Environment, has taken a number of bold steps. We have developed the Africa Blue Economy Strategy, a comprehensive framework that guides our member states and regional economic communities in harnessing the continent's aquatic resources in a manner that is sustainable, that is inclusive, as well as climate resilient. This framework complements the Africa Maritime Strategy and this global charter with a focus on maritime security. In addition, we have also recently developed the Sustainable Inclusive Blue Economy Program 2025-2029 in partnership with UNDP. The 5-year program will catalyze national and regional initiatives on marine spatial planning, ocean governance, coastal resilience, blue value chains, youth and women empowerment, and climate smart ocean industries. I would like to elaborate a bit on the blue value chains. Africa is lagging behind when it comes to value chains. We tend to harvest or produce whatever we're producing and sell it as raw without the value addition. So it's about time we start thinking about that, because we are losing jobs, we are losing the income from the value chains. Furthermore, the African Union is also finalizing the ocean governance strategy to ensure that governance serves as an enabler to sustainability and exploitation of ocean resources. The African Union, through the African Union Development Agency, NEPAD, has also launched a continental program to support AU member states and regional bodies to implement their blue economy priorities. This program includes a targeted financing facility along with private sector development and engagement framework to draw the much needed investment to grow Africa's blue economies over the long term. We need to bring the private sector to be part and parcel of what we are doing. Thank you, Excellencies, distinguished participants, given the value of bioeconomy in Africa, we've also developed the Africa Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan, which also covers the marine environment. Equally important is our efforts to curb plastics and other forms of pollution, and hence we shall be launching the Africa Circular Economy Action Plan next month on the margins of the 20th session of the African Ministers' Conference on the Environment, AMSA. Because without or with the plastics, our oceans are going to be suffocated at some point in time. As a continent, we are saying that time for talks is past. What we now require is accelerated implementation, which is supported by innovation, by financing, as well as partnerships. Allow me to highlight just some of the key accelerators that Africa is prioritizing, one of which is strengthening governance and institutional capacity. We are supporting member countries to develop coherent national blue economy policies, which are aligned with Agenda 2063, the AU Climate Change and Resilient Development Strategy, as well as the UN Decade of Ocean Science. We are also looking at financing, supporting the financing of the blue economy. We must move from fragmented donor-driven interventions to co-finance and scalable investments. The African Union is advocating for innovative financing, blended financing models, and public-private partnerships that create tangible benefits for African communities. Also, we're looking at regional cooperation as well as global solidarity. As AU, we are actively engaging in global processes and instruments, including the WTO Fisheries Subsidies Agreement, the Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction Agreement, and the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework. We call for equitable access to ocean resources with benefit sharing and capacity building, particularly in areas beyond national jurisdictions, and we're encouraging our member states to ratify the BBNJ agreement so that Africa is not left out in the high seas discourse. Excellencies, distinguished guests, Africa's youth is the largest demographic asset of our country, which must be placed at the heart of this transformation. So are our women, who are anchored coastal communities, must be economically and politically empowered to make sure that no one is left behind. Our traditional knowledge and our modern science must also work hand in hand. Let us not forget that the ocean is a connector, not a divider. It links countries, it links cultures, it links economies. And in this spirit of solidarity, I call on our partners in Europe, the Mediterranean, Americas, Asia, and Pacific partners with Africa in pursuit of a just, inclusive, and sustainable ocean economy. Once again, thank you very much, and I look forward to fruitful deliberations as we look at accelerating the dynamics that are involved in the ocean space. Thank you.